try this again. This is now the third time I've done dyno run with the Ausom Leopard. And there's nothing wrong with the scooter. Apparently, my camera skills today are just not good, or technology is not cooperating. I don't know. But here it is, the Ausom Leopard. It's a 1,000-watt scooter, which may or may not have 1,000 watts of power. I may or may not already know the answer from the previous 2 dyno runs I've already done and lost the footage for, but I'm gonna do it a third time for you. Dyno software is running. In case you're new here, I dyno test all of the e-bikes, motorcycles, scooters, everything I test to see if the numbers are accurate. We're shooting for 1,000 watts because that's what they advertise. Let's see what it does. All right, power on. The highest power mode, and here we go in 3, 2, 1. 500 watts, 600, 7, 8, 9. There it is, 1,000 watts. All done. So I've now done multiple runs. Here are the results from the first run. We got 28 pound-feet of torque, 1,050 watts. Some of the subsequent runs we saw anywhere from 1,050 to 1,080. So it's right in that range. Not quite 1,100 watts, but well over the 1,000-watt number, which is great. That tells me that this is accurately advertised, in my opinion, as a 1,000-watt scooter. Now, torque-wise, 28 pound-feet is a good amount. I think that's gonna take this thing up any of the steep hills around here. Let's go find out. Now, that's gonna put this scooter on the number 2 spot for the dyno board right there, above the Richter S9. That was a less powerful single motor scooter. Below the T-Galop T88, that was a dual motor scooter that was quite a bit more powerful and a little more expensive. And of course, I'll keep adding scooters on here as I get them. So a few things about this scooter. It has a very nicely sized 48 volt, 20 amp hour battery. That should be pretty long range. They say 50 miles, I think, depending on your weight and if it's flat or hills or what power mode you use. I would say that's possible. I think 30 miles, 40 miles, definitely in the realm of possibility, even with some hills. It has what appears to be a nice suspension setup. You've got a coilover shock that has some adjustment here in the rear, these nice machined swing arms, mechanical disc brakes front and rear, which they were hydraulic, but hey, it's, you know, 600 some bucks. Can't get everything. It does have a seat with a suspension seat post on it. We've also got that coilover shock in the front. Headlight, which is really bright. Nice LED taillight down here. Amber side markers, which are in fact turn signals. And the one thing I really like about these turn signals is that they have an indicator up on the screen, so you won't leave them on accidentally. This is the on-off for the lights. We've got the signal switch here, and then a proper loud horn. That's good. Thumb throttle on the right. This is our mode button to switch between the power settings, as well as the power button. That threw me off for a second because it wasn't turning on with the key. You gotta turn the key on and then hold this for the power to come on. So that's the basics of how this thing works and how much power it has and the specs. How well does it actually ride? How well does it go up some of these hills? So let's go try that. All right, I'm gonna start off in 1. And can't decide if I want to use the seat or not. I think I kind of prefer not being on the seat. Okay, so level 1 is taking me up this hill, but slowly. Let's bump it up into 2. Whoa. All right, 2's definitely got a bit more power. Looks like that's gonna get us up to 20 miles an hour quite easily. This guy did not see me. Smells like popcorn. So I'm taking it over to this really steep hill. because I want to see if it'll go up it. I'm gonna bump it over to 3. I think with 28 pound-feet of torque that it'll do it. I'm about 150 pounds, and this is about as steep as it's gonna get. We're doing 8 miles an hour, still going. And yeah, it slowed down to 8, but it just, once it got down to 8, it just kept on trucking all the way up. So safe to say at my weight, this is gonna go up everything. Now, I don't know how I feel about the downhills going that fast, but we'll get to a flat road and do a little speed test here. "25 miles an hour. Oh yeah. You can definitely keep up with traffic around town on this thing. So far, I like it. I'm on the highest power setting, and if you just gun it, it doesn't lurch so hard that it's like scary, but it's definitely got some pep to it. All right, let's sit down and get some speed. Whoa. I don't think it likes, from a speed wobble perspective. Not sure that this camera is being good that far out. I've had that problem on other scooters. If I have the camera too far out forward, you get a speed wobble that shows up. Let's bring that in and see if that goes away. All right, so it's flat right here. Says I'm doing 35. So here's the deal. They say it does 35. The screen says it does 35, but the screen isn't totally accurate. It's about, like I said, 8–10% fast. So 32 maybe is about the top speed. So it's not slow, it is more than fast enough for me. I really am more of an e-bike guy, but I know people like scooters, so I want to review more of them because from a technical side, they're not that much different from e-bikes. It's a motor, it's a battery, it's a motor controller, throttle, screens. You're just missing pedals. And you got little tiny wheels that make it sketchy. Here's a big speed bump. Yeah, it handles that good. I feel like some of these scooters have little tiny shocks on them that just look kind of cheap. And these look like beefy and they feel nice and progressive. I mean, I rolled over those speed bumps like nothing. Starting to get a little more comfortable on this thing. Yeah, we're doing 30 miles an hour, cruising down through that little hill. Oh yeah, I got turn signals. I should use those. You know, I was going around town and I was thinking, I'm not gonna be going that fast. I don't need glasses. A bug just flew in my eye. I think I got it. Let's hit a little bump here. Woo. Ooh, you know what? We have like this cobblestone like road like here. Oh, smooth. All right, this road has some rough cracks and potholes. Like this right here. Oh yeah. I handled it like a champ. Whoa, wrong way. Not me, the truck. He was going the wrong way. All right, what if we... Do we have enough ground clearance to hop off this curb? Oh, barely bottomed out a little bit. Well, I gotta admit, that was fun. It took me maybe 5 minutes to kind of warm up to the handling. Every scooter I feel like is a little bit different, and it felt a little squirrely and quick, but that's kind of how scooters are. And after, yeah, about 5 minutes, it started to feel very stable, and I just got the hang of it. It started to really feel nice. So all the uneasiness about the handling and everything at first was definitely me, because I got over it very quickly. It is amazingly quiet. This thing makes like no noise. Tires, I like. They are a little more aggressive than the average scooter tire that I see, but they're not so knobby that they're chunky and noisy and bzzz, making noises. I feel like I could go on dirt and everything on this, and they're gonna do great, but they're equally as happy on the street. And the suspension is probably the thing I am personally most impressed by. This was just smooth on everything I tried with it, and that made it a much better riding experience than some of the other scooters I've ridden that are kind of in this same price range. For 600 some bucks, I feel like the suspension is usually not as good. Now, I may have bottomed out just slightly coming off of that curb, but realistically, this thing does have a lot of ground clearance. So I think this would make a very good scooter if you're gonna use this on dirt a lot, maybe some gravel roads occasionally, because I hit all the potholes and bumps and everything I could find in the road, and it handled all of that really well. I'm gonna have to bend this down a little bit. For some reason, that light is like pointing into the sky. There we go. The handling was nice and smooth. Probably one of the other complaints I have about other scooters, not this one, is that sometimes the bars and everything feel like they got a little bit of play in it. There's just so many moving parts between the folding mechanism down here, the sleeve up here where it can go up and down. There's a part up here sometimes that can be tightened for this to fold around. Sometimes the bars fold down. All of the hardware for the steering felt nice and tight. I wasn't feeling anything jiggle or wiggle around like I have on some others. Like if I pull on the handlebars right here, it's solid all the way down to the wheel. Rigid construction-wise, but then you have this nice suspension to soak everything up. I suppose the seat is a nice touch if you like having a seat on there. I think now that I've ridden it for a few minutes, personally, I would probably just take this seat off of here and ride it as a strictly stand-up scooter. But I like that they have that as an option and it's included. I like the turn signals. It's starting to get a little bit darker here, so you can get kind of a better idea of how those look. I was worried that they weren't going to be that visible from the back, but that's what it looks like if you were a car directly behind. Usually scooter, you know, you might be off to the right side a little bit. Oh, that feels sturdy. I haven't operated the folding mechanism yet, so I want to feel that. Yeah, that all feels nice and solid. They used good hardware on this. Snaps into place. That's not going anywhere. No wiggle at all. Fender is really sturdy, hard, thick plastic. So I may be into e-bikes and motorcycles and things more than scooters normally, but you know, this one's winning me over a little bit. I think the design and everything looks really good. And if I had a complaint about it, I wouldn't say it's a complaint as much as something that can be improved on, because I feel like I always find something that can be improved upon on any electric bike, any electric scooter. And the one thing I would change from the factory if I was them, but I'm not them, or if you bought one of these, I would upgrade, and it's pretty easy to do, would be the brakes. I mean, they were sufficient. I stopped just fine, like little heat sinks on the caliper here, so it looks cool and stuff. But it just feels like there's a little more lever pull than I'd like. Like I have to really squeeze to stop. From what I'm seeing, these calipers look kind of small. Like they look tiny. So I would like to have a little bit more braking power. Now, bear in mind that I live in an area where I have really steep hills all around. So if you're coming down a really steep hill at 30 miles an hour and you want to slow down, this is going to take a little bit more distance because of that. If I was just riding around where it's flat, these brakes are more than sufficient, but also keep in mind my weight, 150 pounds. So if you're in an area with a lot of steep hills or a little more weight, you might want some better brakes. The power I am perfectly happy with. It goes more than fast enough for me on the flats. It's got enough power to take me up all of the hills in Grass Valley, which is really good because we have some really steep hills. And overall, it just feels like a good quality setup. So thanks again to Ausom for sending me the scooter. I get people coming into our shop at Area 13 fairly often asking if we sell stand-up scooters. So I'm gonna leave the video on this. I don't know if Ausom does dealers for their scooters or not. I haven't even looked at that on their website or anything. If they do, I would not be afraid to sell this in my store. I feel like the quality is very good. I don't see any glaring issues with it. And as a retail store location that sells electric vehicles and that has to maintain them and work on them and deal with customers on a regular daily basis, I would not be afraid to sell this to someone because I think they would be very happy with it, especially for the price. So it's on sale right now on their website. I'm looking at it right here for $699. 48 volt, 20 amp hour battery. That's nice long range. That 1,000-watt motor in the back. Oh, and I do have to make one correction. They do say 34-mile-an-hour top speed. I kept thinking it was 35 for some reason. It is free shipping if you order one of these directly from their website. Also, it is UL certified. Maybe I'll leave this thing in the shop for a little while. So if somebody wants to come try it out, they can swing by and test it, take it for a spin in the parking lot. Now that I'm done with the video, I am going to sell this, and I'm sure I will have no trouble finding a buyer for it.